Day 8. So the very first trip to the doctors I had was with my mum, who kind of booked the appointment and forced me to go. Probably around about the 10th of January or 11th of January. And we saw my GP, and I explained the ups and downs of my emotions and that I'd been generally feeling really low for a long time, and that I'd been having suicidal thoughts for long periods of time. And that led to him referring me for an assessment which was going to take place 3 or 4 weeks later, and offering me a prescription in the meantime if I felt I needed it. But we decided that I'd try and work through it if I could, and if I absolutely needed to. Gave me the advice to call 999 if I was absolutely in a state of despair, or get myself to a hospital where there is always an emergency team. He also gave me the details of iTalk and Mind, which are in the link below. The services that you can talk to, and they will try to offer direction as and when people need it. Following that, for a number of different reasons, I spiralled downwards for the next 3 weeks or so, until, let's say, the 28th of January, when everything really fell apart. Somebody pretty much dragged me kicking and screaming back to the doctors in the state that I was in, and I saw a different GP. And because of the state that I was in, she tried to refer me to the emergency team at the hospital. Anyway, I got through that night, and then the next day had a phone call from the acute mental health team in Winchester, who said that my GP had reported me for an emergency assessment, and was I available in the next 24 hours to go and see them and have my first session, which was with a nurse. And the nurse that I saw worked through this assessment with several different questions, unpicking my experiences throughout my life. And the more those questions went on, the more I was able to start to draw links between the events that happened in my life and the way that I respond to things now, and the way that I picture the world. But that wasn't an easy hour and a half. That was difficult. You have to be incredibly honest in that situation, because anything that you don't share, if it is causing anything that is bringing me down, then it was never going to get helped. So there were lots of things I had to delve into that I perhaps didn't want to, but kind of had to go through that process. And I then got in touch every day for the next couple of days, just to see how I was and make sure I was fine. And then I had another face-to-face meeting about 3 days later with the same nurse, and we kind of talked through some of the stuff that I'd spoken about in the previous meeting, and some of the things that she put together since then, as this is what she thinks is going on. We then had a third meeting again a few days later, which was more of just a catch-up. I was passed on to one of their psychologists, who obviously had all of the information that I'd given to the nurse, and then she had a first session with me talking about how I think through problems and what my observations are of when things are difficult, how my mind works, how I work, and started to draw links between the ways that I act and the ways that I think, and the templates that I built when I was growing up as a child, and then created that kind of chart of cycles that I shared on day 5. But that process was over 3 different sessions that were an hour and a half each. And to be totally honest, during the first session and the second session, I was kind of sat there going, this isn't helping. You know, yes, I can understand this stuff and I can see that it's going on, but it's not actually making any difference. But I can understand why, without the immediate help and relief and sensation of this is really working, why people don't have the impulse to return. It does need a level of discipline to do that. Following those meetings with the psychologist, I had a couple more meetings just to develop a crisis plan, which is how I'm going to work through those times when it does really drop. And because of the state that I'm in, I don't want help. I just want to be left alone, and potentially things could get a lot worse very quickly. How I'm going to build a team around me when I'm in this sort of frame of mind, to make sure that I'm safe when those moments do happen. So that was kind of the 8 sessions that I spent with the acute mental health team, and then was discharged with the message that if I needed to, I could come back at any time. What's going to happen next is that they've referred me to an iTalk program, and I will share obviously what that's like as and when I get to that point. Now obviously my original assessment that I got with my GP the first time I went was cancelled automatically as soon as I was seen by the acute mental health team. But I suppose it would have ended up in the same place that I am now, going down this iTalk programme route, but would have just been a slightly longer way round because it wasn't an emergency to get me there. And although I can't promise I'm going to be perfect and happy every day for the rest of my life, there will be ups and downs, like I've always said. But I'm in a far better place now than I was 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. It's a journey worth going on. So I hope that offers some insight into what I went through. Like I say, the best port of call to start any of this journey is to see your GP. If things are absolutely desperate, then it's the hospital. iTalk, if you're a Hampshire-based person, you have calm and you have mind. So take care of yourself, share, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.